Thanks everyone for joining. We are hoping that this is the first designer share session from Illumicare. My name is Raymond Josephian and I help in sales at Illumicare. I know you're quite busy at this time of the year, so I really appreciate you joining us here. Today we have three outstanding and successful business people that I've had the pleasure of knowing for a number of years. We have James Solecki, we have Leon Hordick, and we have Sandy Iliopoulos. From my perspective, I'm being in business for more than 4 decades now. These gentlemen are in the top 1% in our industry. And something I've come to learn over the years is when you're in the top 1%, not only are you a good business person, not only are you very passionate about the industry, but you're also willing to share. So these gentlemen here are willing to share as they're doing today. Beyond this, if you contact them, if you want to communicate with them, they are successful and they want to help you be successful. So having said that, I will ask if you have any questions to put it in the Q&A button at the bottom of the page. So if you click on that and ask your questions, we'll do your best to answer your questions. We'll go in the format of James Solecki first, Leon Hordick, and then Sandy Iliopoulos. They will showcase some of their work. After about 12 minutes of showing their work, we'll leave about 3 minutes then for you to ask any questions that you have. In the meantime, ask your questions in the Q&A area, but we'll answer it then. Please, at all times, mute yourself because I believe you're able to speak, so mute yourself. If you click on the hand and put your hand up, we'll do our best to invite you so you can verbally ask your question, be it at the 3 minutes at the end of each session, or if there's any time left at the end of the Zoom before the hour's over. So having said that, you didn't come here to listen to me, and here's James Solecki. Go ahead, please, James.
Hello, everyone. So as Raymond's given us a nice introduction, I'm going to just start sharing my screen here. And you guys just make sure that you guys can see my full screen image there.
We can.
Everything's good. Okay, great. So I'm going to walk you through an architect. Well, it's mostly landscape lighting, but it was a combined job. This was my very first landscape lighting system that I did here in Turks and Caicos. So this job was installed in 2016 in the summer. Nearly killed me, of course. And I want to walk you through from the entry gates down to the beach deck. And the focus here is the design perspective, is how I saw the project and how I tried to achieve the goals, the visual goals of it. I'm not going to focus too much on technology unless people have very specific questions. This is all about achieving the desired results. So let me just give me 1 minute. I got to pull up my commands. Here we go. There we go. So starting at the front gates, this was a fairly large, for Turks and Caicos, it's just over an acre property in a gated community. And the client wanted extensive depth and views created for both, not just for beauty, but also to create a sense of security on the property so that they would have long views up and down the driveway and out to the beach. A couple of things. So I didn't want to clutter driveways, curbs, and pathways with a lot of path lights. I wanted to use the existing vegetation as well as some that was planted to create, visual sort of waypoints along. This is the front entry gates, two brand new, newly planted mahogany trees just behind the gates. An important tip here is if you can, whenever possible, get in early. I had nothing to do with that sign and pylon lighting, and I sure wish I had, because the builder, I'm not sure what they spec'd, I'm not sure who installed it, but it certainly isn't all that effective. I would have much rather seen the front sign or gate washed from below, soft, right color temperature and everything else. So unfortunately, we had no ability to change that feature. Walking down the driveway, I just basically highlighted all the specimen or feature trees. I'm not a big fan, unless I want something to be very, very, stand out as being dramatic. I like to do a lot of cross lighting with trees. So you're going to see most of the trees have 3 or more fixtures highlighting them. One will be focused on trunks, others pushed away up into the canopy. Variable, your different beam spreads in each fixture to really make things pop out. Same tree, different time of night. Exact same tree, same look, everything else. On the other side, another one, and then the other thing I did is used a combination of soft floods and spots or bullet directionals to highlight all of these trees, and as one-offs, same tree, different time of night. Cactus in the background, a slightly cooler temperature on the lamp, just so that it pops out a little bit. And this is the difference when you use a single fixture under a tree as opposed to cross-lighting it or backlighting it. It just gives it a much more stark, dramatic look. These are all now much bigger, 4 years in. This is looking backwards the other way from the garage towards the gates. And I use this picture to show you that I didn't put bollards along the driveway. I didn't use path lights. I just wanted to use all these various specimen trees along the curbs, and then the background or outer foliage is all soft wash with floodlights. The tree that you see in the foreground there, that's apparently an extremely old tree for here, well over 100 years old. And it was a feature tree on the property, and I think I did a pretty good job of shielding and glare control. There are 7 fixtures illuminating that tree. So you can see a couple sources down here, but glare control, see, and the mantra, see the effect, not the source. That is something that I can't repeat enough to other designers and contractors. We need to keep paying special attention to visible lines of sight to sources, glare control, the use of glare louvers, shrouds, anything you can do to remove the source of light from the scene makes the trees and the foliage pop. Same tree, just slightly different angle. This is the other side of the driveway, again, using all that foliage to create a view. This is directly in front of the house, so this is what the clients look out towards. And now we start moving into a little bit of structure. So they have this mahogany, a parking pergola, and each post is covered in bougainvillea, which is absolutely beautiful when it's in bloom. So I used downlights on each post, gives it a very secure functional use, but also acts as an anchor in the driveway, and it is just a driveway. Now this is the main entry of the building. I had to integrate downlighting that was installed on the structure, wall sconces installed on the structure, as well as the added landscape lighting. I did that all with a control system so that we could integrate architectural lighting to landscape lighting, set dim levels, and create a scene. Using some different techniques, the Bismarck Palms are my absolute favorite specimen to light. After spending 20+ years in Ontario lighting white pine trees and maple trees, I love these Bismarck trees. Everyone is just a complete adventure to light them. Using a little bit of blocking, I wanted to bring some highlights into the foreground that would that would tie us back to the sort of destination of the front door there. Just a different image, slightly different settings on the camera. I like this one better, to be honest with you. Here we are with the Bismarck Palms with a coconut palm in the background. This is where you really learn how to project light from a distance. I see a lot of people will do a lot of lighting under the tree. And the fixtures are set far back on stems to get them above the foliage, and probably between 8 and 10 feet away in the wings, aimed at the tree rather than up into the tree. The coconut palm behind has 3 fixtures in it. This one has, I believe, 3. So that it's taking 6 fixtures to create that view. Same tree, different angle. One thing that I've done a lot of in my career is downlighting. Thousands and thousands and thousands of downlights. A little bit different here. The coconut palms tend to be immature on new builds. So that is only about maybe 13 or 14 feet high. So I'm having to relearn how to downlight from low elevations. But the reason I did so was to fill in this pathway. So I didn't want to have a lot of pathlights like this, cluttering that stepping stone path, because you have to look at them all day long. And they create, obstacles for dogs and bags and paddles and kayaks, etc. So I decided to use downlights on most of the coconut palms to give this soft wash of light. And the only place I used a couple of pathlights was where there's a significant elevation change to take away a trip hazard. This is skipping right through the house over to the oceanside deck. They have 1, 2, 3 layers of deck on this villa. And this one's quite cool. They have tiny little extruded, 2-inch extruded aluminum posts. And we use the stainless steel. Now Raymond's going to correct me because I don't have my catalog open. The stainless steel nicks on these, and with a little T5 mini wedge lamp, all from Illumicare. And I got to have a lot of fun in this infinity edge pool gutter. So the water flows over, drops down this beautifully tiled gutter in behind this grate, and I underwater and uplit that. We'll show you more pictures. Great shot, moons rising over Grace Bay. The lighting levels are all complementary, nothing's too bright. So this is really cool. So we did we relamped and controlled all of the architectural lighting, added low voltage lighting on the shade pergolas here to create privacy screens, and then did underwater lighting in this gutter to get this effect. And when the water tips over here, obviously the gutter, the water in the gutter, in the collection gutter, is all undulating, and all of these shadows are dancing. And it looks absolutely magical when you're there. I should have taken some video of it. Just another angle. This goes up to the upper deck, this stairs here. Play around, use different technologies, and look in every crevice for opportunities of where to put some lights. This is a pathway, a stepping stone pathway all the way down to the beach level. Looking at it, I'll go backwards a little bit. If I had just path lit, using path lights and point sources, we would have had a really black, dark canopy. So what I did is I mounted up here behind this rail. You can see this light here. This is downlights behind the post lights. There's another shot. There's one there. And there's 3 of them going along with very soft, 4 watts, 60-degree beam spread. So it's just a soft wash of light. And what that allows us to do is have a much more filled in, soft presentation when you're looking off the deck. And also when you're walking down here, you're not just hit with high contrast posts or path lights along the stairs.
James, you have 2 minutes, please.
Yep, almost there, Raymond. On path lighting, rugged, rocky terrain here. This is no beach. This is a rock. I like to do really trick installs, no stakes, custom mounting. Unfortunately, we get in the way a little bit, but take your time and figure out ways to put these things in the landscape where people don't know how you do it. No wires, the drilling all went through the rock. It was quite cool. This is coming down the beach path towards the beach deck. Use some jewelry. I love to put, a couple little pieces, not too much, something nice that brings some attention. Starlighter type fixtures, as opposed to constantly using path lights. It creates some really cool fine lighting. This is approaching the beach deck. So I didn't want to put anything on the deck that would cause glare. So I lit all of the foliage around the deck to create a really nice sort of dark sky area, believe it or not. You can sit on that deck and look straight up into the stars. And that is the end of this presentation and this project, my first one in Turks and Caicos.
James, thanks a million. There's a couple of questions that came up in chat. So if we can open up the chat. Alexander Taylor asked, are you using the hex? Oh my goodness, I lost it. Here we go. Are you using hex for glare control? This question came up, especially when you were doing the 7 fixtures on the uplight.
Right. Yes, I use a lot of long shrouds, accessory shrouds. Those are hard to find sometimes, but actually Illumicare has a really cool accessory shroud for their woody fixture. And amazingly, it fits over a huge variety of standard industry bullets. So it's a really nice long shroud, and hex louvers in anywhere I'm using a bullet up light that is near a point of access, a pathway. Anywhere people will be, I definitely put hex cell louvers in. If they're buried out in the garden, not so much.
Okay. And Alexandra also asked, what controls are you using?
That was I put a UPB control system into that particular property. Sometimes I'll use UPB. More often now I'm using Cassetta, as it allows us to integrate existing line voltage lighting along with brand new landscape lighting systems.
Okay. If the attendees have any other questions from James for the moment, and we are hoping to have a few minutes at the end of our Zoom session, please put into the chat. James, it looks like incredible project.
Thank you.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, things are good. Definitely having a good time. It's nice to be able to change your whole career midstream.
Oh my gosh, is it ever a change? I got to know James when he first started in business, just outside of north of Toronto, and all the challenges that he had. And when he perfected those challenges, he decided to open up another chapter and move to Turks and Caicos. James, if anybody wants to reach you by email, what email address can they use, sir?
James@islandvillalighting.com.
Beautiful. James, thank you so much for this. Leon, are you able to present next? You have to unmute yourself, I believe. Okay, we can certainly see your shared screen, but I'm not able to hear you.
Yep, there we go. Sorry.
Beautiful. So Leon Hordick from Shademaster, and here we go. Thanks again, James.
All right. Well, thank you for this opportunity, Ray and John, and it's nice to be invited to speak on this and to share a little bit of what we do up here in Canada. We're close to Toronto. We're about a half hour out of Toronto. A little bit out of the hustle and bustle, but it's actually joining us out this way too. So anyway, I'm just going to jump right in and just share a little bit about sort of how we do things. I'll talk a little bit of maybe a little background too about when you do meet with the client for the first time on the design side, you want to make sure you find out why light. That was always Bill Laughlin's mantra, why light. And that's something that I'm sure all three of us for sure, or five of us, have learned over the years. So on this project here, when we first met with them, they wanted to create sort of an oasis right in the middle of the city. They're right downtown, just outside of downtown on a smaller property. So they wanted to create sort of an oasis where they could enjoy it with their own small family, their extended family, and then also have some big parties where I think it gets a little crazy back here. So we also incorporated a bit of fire into that for fun. Does create sort of a nice highlight too for dusk time as well, like when before the lights, you can see the effect of the lights. So here it is, just as it's getting dark, and then as it gets dark. So right in behind there, you see that building.
Sorry to interrupt, Leon. All I see is your full screen with all your pictures. They are not enlarged.
Sorry.
Thank you.
That's strange. That work?
No, sir.
Okay. That's strange.
So I see the first one highlighted, and if double clicking it would help. John, if you have an idea. No.
I'll start over.
Sharing, yeah, maybe stop sharing and look for share a different screen.
Okay.
Now we can see you, yes. Is
that working?
No, I believe it's the same as what we had before. If you double click on that, it won't open up to a larger one.
Okay, I just will start right here again.
There you go.
Okay.
That
Thank
better?
you, Leon.
Oh, that's strange.
Okay, now be quiet.
All right, thank you. So anyway, this is I won't go ahead. There we go. All right, so I'll start back here. So this is the backyard here on this project. Again, it's right in the middle of the city. So we had some challenges there. Right behind there, you'll see a building there that is the water treatment plant of all things. It doesn't affect them at all, except for they see this big building here. So at nighttime, we wanted to make sure we addressed the trees in the front. Cooler temperature on the blue spruce to just to highlight the blue of the spruce trees. And so that was a city property. This is a rural property, heritage home. It's called the Old Goat Farm, actually. So we wanted to do a little softer kind of approach with a building like this, and with all the dark skies behind it, I wanted to keep it a little soft, more subtle. So we did some uplighting on the house, some high-Ds, some lower lumens on that. Uplighting of the trees, and of course moonlighting. Have a nice opportunity here with mature trees to actually do some moonlighting. So whenever we have trees to downlight from, we definitely we'll tackle that first. That's what our first round, and only fill in with path lights as needed. Kind of what James was saying too. Path lights are sort of a necessary evil I see them in the industry. They look great, and a lot of people use a lot of them, but we only use them when we're needed. And a little bit of shows what you can do with a little bit of soft moonlighting. And again, the path light has to pick up in the back because there's no other trees to downlight from. So in this project here, we use a wide variety of Illumicare fixtures. We use the Eevee, the Astrid, and I think even a few Novas. That's the in-ground integrated, and Woody's down from the tree. There's a couple pieces of art that him and his father had done together. They made those, so wanted to make sure we did some highlighting on that. Soft downlight, and of course the entrance, the arms, little frames in the view as you come in. So that's a rural property, so you address that quite differently than when you're right in the city with lots of ambient light and trespass light. And quite often you'll have a property where you really have not much to work with before the landscape was done. This one here was just a field. We did the landscaping here as well, but we had to create some interest there as we did a little bit of a couple declins or a few declins on the pergola there you see, and then we did some cross lighting. This was before the Rowan, so it would have been the Artemis rig, probably it. Some cross lighting up in there. And then this is a heritage home that's right in Dundas. It's a small town here, real old town right near here where we do a lot of our work. So we had to do some soft lighting. You can see those bollards there, or the sort of the standards, those light standards with the globes. Those had to stay there for some reason. They were part of the heritage designation. So we kind of worked with that, did a little soft lighting up on the building. Didn't want to draw too much, attention to the foliage around it because we had a lot of homes right in around there. So we just kind of did some soft lighting. Again, you'll see some trespass lighting from the neighbors. You kind of have to soften things up a bit to hide that as well. And this another thing that we run into quite often is you have a property right in the middle of the city and you have 5 or 6 houses looking right in on it. How do you address that? So what we did was we created sort of a wall of light around the perimeter of the property. The backside was on the conservation, so we left that a little darker. But you can see here we uplit with some wallies, we uplit these pear trees and the maple in the back. And even though there's 5 or 6 houses there, look, you can kind of see them through there. It really helped to block the view coming in, but also the view going out too. So when you're back there, you don't feel like you're on display for the rest of the neighborhood there. Just a view from above, you can see all the other houses around it. So just some uplighting, downlighting in the tree, the large tree, and then more soft lighting around the perimeter. Another technique we use a lot of is lighting underneath the edge of steps. We have a lot of grade changes in our area, so a lot of the front steps are up higher than the driveway. Here they had elderly parents, so we used a combination of different techniques here. There is a couple path lights through there to create a little bit of, I don't know if you can see my pointer there, but in this area here. And then also we did the cliffs underneath the steps. Quite often we just use the mini cliff, actually. It's a lot more subtle. And we like to use the cliff one because it's dark, it just blends right into the stone. And then some soft lighting up on the house too to reflect back. And then sometimes you get into a very unique project where, and this one here is still under construction. We're just finishing this one up this year. So these pictures are just taken with my iPhone. So they don't look that great. That's why. But here, this was just over a 5-acre property that they wanted completely landscaped and lit, and it's completely pitch black around there. It's right by the airport. It's just on the other side, but this is out in the middle of out in the rural area of Hamilton. And so here, the challenge was, what to light, what not to light, how to get power out to all the different locations ahead of time. And again, like James said, if you can get on the ground floor, which often we get to do because we're doing the actual construction as well, then we can actually have all the the infrastructure in place, all the power supplies to the right locations ahead of time. So here, a combination of uplighting, lighting the water feature, and creating some more vista effects. No one really walks through that area at night. So. And then this is a rather, we planted this tree actually. It's a huge London plane sycamore tree. And yeah, we just did some, these are 7-watt, 30 degrees probably on this to get some real punch. Again, the dark sky in the background, you don't have to go crazy on it. And in the backyard, this pool house, I think it was it's bigger than my first home. We did a combination of just some simple LED dimmable pot lights, the standard in the electrical industry, but then we did sorry, cross lighting with Rowans up into the beams. And then this is where we're still under construction. There's vortexes going on these locations here, these fire vortexes. So that's why those areas are left kind of dark, so that those vortexes can stand out. And this is the front. Again, just taken with my iPhone for now, but when they drive in their driveway, this is what they look across at. Another big challenge with new construction is you don't have a lot of mature trees to deal with. This is just over a 5 acre property, but kind of unique to this area. There was only one mature tree on the whole property. And that was actually, technically it wasn't even on their property, it was in the back corner. So everything here is all just freshly planted, just over a year ago. So it's just gonna look better over time. And then just one thing I wanted to talk about, it's not Illumicare, but the use of fire. We love using fire in our projects. And again, it kind of enhances the whole lighting effect. And also it's visible if you have people over, your clients have people over before it gets dark, you can really see the effects of the fire. And then just the lighting kind of blends in afterwards. On this project, again, this is before it's even dark out. You can see the fire is very visible. So it takes, this is just a flat property beforehand. Now it's got some visual interest even, towards dusk there. And again, here too. Here we used, again, some cliffs on the outdoor kitchen. But at this time of night, you're not going to see very much effect of the lighting with the fire stands there. And in yet an area like this, there's really nothing really too light here. You have a little bit around the perimeter. There's some larger trees that are lit up, but at nighttime, this is pitch black overlooking the Lake Ontario. And this fire, at nighttime, it looks just beautiful. And again here. So we did all the lighting on this project as well. This picture was taken more for the fire, but you can see a bit of the lighting effects here too. Again, this is a property that's right in the city, but it's carved out into conservation area. So that fire will just stand out quite a bit. And these are the vortexes that we're going on to the back of the pool. Them up on the house as well. Then we also get a chance to, we're going to a landscape business, but we do a lot of lighting, and we also do some work inside our clients. So we have existing clients, and they asked us to help them out inside the house too. Here we actually did the stone. We did this whole basement actually, but we did the stonework here, and we were able to incorporate these little uplights into the floor ahead of time. Had our licensed electrician handle all that, so it was all approved, inspected and approved. Make sure you do that if you're ever working in someone's house, whatever you do. And you can see the effect. You can do this effect outside as well. Of course, there's a Mozart's with they got the asymmetric lens in there, and they do a nice job. It doesn't really, you don't get too much glare from it. And then inside this wine cellar as well. Created some different effects here. Really soft, subtle lighting, the tasting area. And then we did some backlighting in behind this panel. And again, these are techniques that you can use outside as well. You have different visual interest pieces, artwork or displays. You can do that outside as well. Okay. And that is it. Hopefully I stuck within my time there, Ray.
You certainly did. Thank you, Leon. Leon, on the large project that you were showing as part of your slideshow, how many fixtures do you have in there? We're pushing on 600 right now. And how do you control it?
That one is all, and with the home automation, it is, so every single different area that we needed power, we pre-ran all the power out to that. We worked along with the electrician that was on was working in the house. Everything's pulled back, and it's all comes right. Everything goes right back to a central station where it's all controlled on their home automation.
Now I will ask this from James later on and Sandy next, but Leon, do you think, I've known Leon now in lighting for 34 years. My goodness, we were both young men back then. Do you see yourself doing more architectural lighting now, or is it about the same as a decade ago, let's say?
I was doing a lot of it back then too. Like, yeah, we were doing a lot of it back then. So I'd say it's about the same, but I see more of it out and about when I'm driving around. Definitely see more people doing a better job of doing architectural lighting. Sometimes it's just a whack load of glare bomb hot lights along the house, but if it's done well, if you can help to control the fixtures and the lighting on the house itself, if they're existing, or even changing it out, we do a lot of that too. We have a licensed electrician, master electrician on staff. So we generally get into changing all that on the house too. And then we do whatever we can on the low voltage side as well to highlight that at home. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a million, Leon. Thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing. And if any questions come up, please put it on chat or question answers, and we'll do our best to answer it. And James, Leon, and Sandy will also look at that, and hopefully have a few minutes at the end. Sandy, are you ready to go? All right. So I've known Sandy since, my goodness, 1993, and I've learned a lot from him. And much like Leon and James, and I'm proud to call him not only a client of ours, but also a good friend. So Sandy, if you want to go ahead.
Yep. Thank you, Raymond, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm going to probably have as much trouble or even more than Leon did to get my screen up here. So, John, you might want to help me out. Am I looking for a share screen? So, okay.
Yeah, bottom of this, if you go full screen, bottom of the screen and hit share screen.
Okay, good.
There you go. You're in.
Now, and
You're good to go.
Let me just see if I can move this back and forth. No, I'm gonna have to find the control over this view. Okay, great. I think I should be okay. Okay, so hi, my name is Sandy Leopoulos. I'm working out of Montreal. I really do, the core of my work is in the city of Montreal, so we do a lot of the city residences. Ironically enough, this presentation is gonna have a lot of stuff that's out in people's cottage country area. I really enjoyed James and Leon's presentation. I think it was very diversified, and it was actually a lot of good information. So I appreciate you doing a lot of the job for me already, guys. I did want to talk about the product and how I manipulate the product, how I use the product as a tool. So in the product line of Illumicare, we have in the past few years, they've been an innovator in providing us with tools where we can exploit the architectural lighting aspect of the outdoor lighting, design in the projects. So I'm using a lot of the smaller components that are more discrete, and I'm using them to illuminate the same thing that we're doing with bullets. I'm using a lot of the in-ground product to light up trees and architectural features as well. And I'm innovative with that in the sense that I also use them in different applications where they weren't really meant to be when they were designed. And I think James had a little bit to do with the design of most of the products that we're using in the Illumicare line, along with John and Raymond. So in this case, it's just a simple question of coring the wood deck. It's an Ipe wood deck, which if you've ever done Ipe wood or worked with Ipe wood, it's quite hard. So the landscaping guys would be more familiar with this, but the lighting guys that are not much into carpentry will understand it. There's you definitely need to have the proper tooling, and once you get the Mozart flush into the ground, the floor level, it's quite cool. In this case, the picture's not that great. I don't know why we have some white specks here, but I'm just simply, creating a perimeter lighting of a deck that's basically a suspended deck over a very important slope going right down to the lake. And The secondary effect is I'm getting a lot of the canopies of the trees lit up indirectly. But my purpose here was to do an architectural element here and have like a perimeter lighting of the deck, which will reflect off the glass and create that depth perception when you're looking out the back door or the upper level balconies of this country estate, because the lake is pitch black at night. And I think, that's the way they want to keep it. So we'll just switch over to another view of this little lounge area, which again is off the pool deck and is a suspended, wood deck over a very important sloped ground going down to the lake. Here we have just an example of another application of the Mozarts where we use them to core into what we have here is a natural stone. This is a very old home, a very, I don't know if I have any pictures of the whole property, but I just want to isolate the application of using architectural lighting, using the Mozarts, coring them into the ground and creating 2 lamppost effects without even having to have a lamppost at either side of the stairs leading up to the walkway to the main entrance of the house. Here you'll see the address. We have what we call the Phoebes or the cliff. Here, in this case, it's a Phoebe. We often take existing, light fixtures or chandeliers or any other architectural elements, and we incorporate. I try to incorporate as much as the miniatures to create effect as well as very functional. So here we have a very good, I believe, a very well done address light without being too important in the whole scheme of things. And inside this columnar structure where you have the address on, we have lights that are projecting down like a bird cage type of effect. So basically the lights you see on the ground here are coming from underneath, not only from the Phoebe that's mounted under the lip of the little rooftop type of thing of the column. We have lights also inside there. And then you see the backlighting. The house has a full, facade lighting, very even wash. Let the natural elements create the crevices and different shadowing and things like this when you're dealing with architectural facade lighting of a home. So you're gonna see, so there's another example with the Mozarts where we mount them recessed in the soffits to do a downlighting effect, as opposed to what they were designed for is to have them in the ground projecting upwards. Here's an example of a daytime shot. They're quite cool, actually. They're very slick looking because of the size. They're very small. So it's basically the smallest of the, recessed pot lights that you'll find in the industry. This goes head to head with any of the very expensive, stainless steel finish trim pot lights that you might want to have to purchase at your lighting, showroom. So we get away with using the Mozarts. It's a very good effect. Again, use of the Mozarts as a complement light and as a perimeter lighting and as a border lighting. So again, we don't light up driveways as, James very eloquently, you brought it up to you, but I like to do an architectural lighting theme where I do the bordering of the driveways. And then of course, the light will go into the canopy of the trees. In this case, we do have other lights inside the planting that are hidden. They are projectors. They're not, flush well lights. And they're giving us a little bit more of the acute lighting that goes on the tree trunks. As a matter of fact, you see through the gate here and you'll see the continuation of the perimeter lighting using the Mozart, which is the smallest of the recessed in-ground stainless steel LED lights. Back to a cottage estate. Again, I like to be very streamlined. So you'll see very few bullets, projectors visible in my designs. I like to keep as much as I can invisible during the day, as much as I can also invisible at night. But during the day is important to me, and I'm starting to often now retrofit older projects that I've done and projects that other people have done, where where they'll put a classic 2 projectors at the base of a tree. Maybe they'll be creative and cut out the bottom of the tree, a little round cutout, and put some mulch or whatever other to basically camouflage the color, something of the same color as the brass fixtures. What we've done is we're doing a lot of well lights. We're recessing the lights in the ground. Of course, we explain to the client that it's best if their property is well maintained, so they can have, whoever cuts the grass will keep the grass short. It creates a much more streamlined, much nicer effect. But here's the case where we're lighting up the trees with the lights on the ground. We're lighting up the wall as well, the stone wall with Mozarts, again, those famous Mozarts. Of course, I should have had the grass cut before this picture, because you'll see at the source of the lights, the hot spots are not created by the light, it's created by the grass that's growing around the perimeter of the lights. But it gives a really cool grazing effect. I really enjoy using the Mozart, again, this product, because the color temperature is just right. The parabolics inside create, you know, we can choose from different beam spreads, and I very much like the one that projects out towards a 45-degree angle. Correct me if it's not a 45-degree angle, but it does actually project light on an angle, which is also very useful. Another photo I'll show you later, I hope it's in the slideshow, where we place the fixture further away than we usually would place it. In other words, the in-ground light, we would place it further from whatever we want to graze, a wall or a tree or whatever we want to light up. Because this has the parabolics inside, it will throw the light, it'll cast the light up higher onto whatever surface you're trying to illuminate. So that's more obvious when you're doing cedars and you're doing two-dimensional lighting with the recess. In this case also, we do an accent downlighting from the corner of the, it's actually a shed that you see there, just to create an architectural element, to create some depth as well, and to really, for you to understand, you know, the different elevations, the different heights that you're dealing with here. Here's an example if, you know, you want to show, someone likes to show their property, well, this is what we do for them. Again, there's a little bit of hot spots in this picture. Again, it's not always exactly what you see on the photo. It's very difficult to capture the real texture of the light, but we've done a continuous light wall washing of the wall. We have lights also that are in the step, recessed in the wall where you have a change of elevation. In other words, of the steps, it's an older product that we use that we core into the side of the wall. So again, it's for me, this is architectural lighting. This is not landscape lighting. Of course, it is all part of landscape lighting, but this is more of an architectural approach to landscape lighting. Here again, we have the perimeter lighting with the Mozarts. We do often use the what we call the Phoebes, those lights that we put under the caps of walls, caps of steps, to create effect lighting. But more often, it's not the effect that we're looking at. It's more the fact that it creates a functional light where it takes you through spaces without having to have path lights and bollards existing here. So we'll continue. Here's another example. This is a city property. The view, the photo wasn't taken for the purpose of showing you the city of Montreal, which I should have considered that. But we needed to find a way to light up this guy's walking area, the area in the back, without, you know, introducing any tall standards or too much downlighting from the house. So we've done it by incorporating the ledge lights under the caps of the walls. We do the same thing for barbecue area. For an outdoor kitchen, you want to be able to circulate around it. So we keep an even spacing between them to make it architecturally correct and to make it symmetrical. We have lights mounted on the post, which I love doing, and I saw a beautiful example of that in James's presentation, where we mount them on the posts of fences or different barriers, which do a lot of different things. It creates a cool element, a visual element. Again, when I call it a visual element of architectural lighting or symmetrical lighting, or like more 20th century, 21st century lighting, but it also illuminates the ground to get you to walk around the space and illuminates whatever plantings on the bottom of it. You'll see another picture of this. Again, the Mozarts are installed in the back on the pool cabano. Here's the lighting that we have on the inside of the kitchen. So when you want to use it, it's a very practical way of lighting, and it's out of the way during the day. You don't see the lights, which is important to me. Again, walking through a tight space where you have your pool and you have the house right next to it, we create the marker lighting type of look, which is a lot less of a hot spot as you see here. It's much smoother. One thing I could tell you about the Illumicare, the Phoebes and the Cliff, that whole line, is that we don't see the different little spots of LED lights that we do like on some of the other products that I originally started working with before Illumicare, got into the specialty lighting products. We have a light up at the top here, downlighting from the house, which is on an override switch that they can shut it off. Of course, we do that because there is a sitting area there. It's a dining area, so we wanted to increase a little. But for the most part, we're keeping everything very, very subtle in the back of the house. Again, because the view really is going to be the city of Montreal. Here's an example of using low-level lighting to create, safety lighting around an area, create a comfortable environment and nothing in your visual field. So we have the fire pit that Leon, I should have had the fire pit lit up for this photograph. I will next time I have a chance to go out there. And it does blend in real nice, especially the fact that the fire is a different color temperature, a color temperature that I couldn't even tell you what degree it is because it's so many variants of color depending on the wood that you're burning. Or actually, when you're natural gas, it's more controlled. But anyhow, so it does create a really cool, interest point. So we do the grazing of the walls. We have lighting in the trees at the upper level, like really, this is about 30 feet back, so you can get the depth that you're looking for. Back to the picture of the city lights. We do a lot of pool lighting. We're probably the busiest outfit here in Montreal, and I've been doing it for a very long time. Pool lighting. We introduce LED pool lights. We actually replace a lot of existing LED pool lights that are not, that they're more common market or not as sophisticated as the product that I've sourced in California, which I'm very good with, and the finish is not a plastic rim. So every pool light that they put in now with the Hayward, Color Law, all these different products, they always have like a plastic trimming around the pool light, you'll notice. So the product I'm using is a marine industry stainless steel, chrome looking, very, very cool. And the fixture is also a lot more performing. So we do incorporate a lot of pool lighting on our projects. Here's a better picture of this again. So here's the entrance of the main entrance of I'm not even timing this, so I was planning to time this, Raymond. I'm sorry if
It's okay, Sandy. We have 4 to 5 minutes, please.
Wonderful. So this is the main entrance. We were involved in the selection of the wall sconces. Again, this is a project that we were involved from almost the beginning. Let me just say one thing about being involved early in the projects, which is quite important as an important footnote. So Leon, fortunately has, he does the complete project. So in other words, he gets in there, except for building the house, he's doing everything else, which, allows him to prepare for a lot of things that, a lot of work that we got to do after the fact, like James mentioned, drilling through rocks and hiding wires, and people are asking, how did you possibly do this? So yes, in this case, the point I'm trying to make is that they don't, we have a little bit of weight, but we don't have as much weight as the general contractor, the home builder, and the home architect. And we often have to get into little, tug of war sessions. And that's the challenging thing about being an outdoor lighting designer, where you're, kind of imposing on the decorator or the home architect, and, trying to get your product on the building, on the building phase of the home. So in this case, we chose these fixtures. They're a very decorative element. The light is very controlled. It's really tucked up at the top. It's an LED diode. I feel that we had to do a compromise. I rather not have any glass around my face. I'd rather have directional lighting, but we had to compromise. That's the point I should have brought out from the beginning. Anyhow, in this case, for the front stairs, we do have these local path lights here because there's no large trees. And as a matter of fact, and I don't want to downlight from the house because it is a country cottage estate, and I prefer to put as least amount of hardware on the actual house itself. Okay, so here's another example of the same property where we graze the stone wall. It's a beautiful stone. We graze here. We have one downlight, giving us a little bit of at the staircase, but we have a lot of these path lights here, which, as Raymond will tell you, I would do jobs of 200-300 lights, and I might have 7 or 8 path lights on the property in the past. Now I'm finding myself introducing a lot more path lighting. For one reason is because my client base is getting older, and as your clients age, there's a big greater need for acute lighting. So the acute lighting is provided by something a light source that's close to where you want to light up, and there's a very big change of elevation here. So I felt it quite necessary to do path lights and directional path lights in this case. But I also we have to maintain the artistry of everything. So we want to, create the backdrop of the beautiful stonework. We have a downlight or two from the house lighting up the staircase, giving us that dark instep, which is a classic move, which has worked for me forever and will work forever again, evermore. So here we see the acute lighting coming down the stairs. Okay, and these, again, we're running wires here, coring through stuff. It's custom work. It's very time consuming. So if you're quoting on jobs against someone that might be, used to digging trenches and running their wire next to the irrigation pipe, you're gonna maybe have to, hopefully you're already pre-sold when you get there, but sometimes it's a challenge to quote against guys that are not prepared to do a lot of the custom work, especially when it comes to the hardscape lighting. So again, here's another better indicator of the intensities of the light. This is a great picture. Thank you very much, Raymond, for taking this. Which almost all these photos are taken from Raymond Josephian, and John has helped out a bit as well. So here's an example of having a very big, large change of elevation, many steps, and we have local fixtures to provide us the safety lighting to go through one space and the other.
Sorry, Sandy, 1 minute, please.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go through here. Here's example again of a downlighting from the house, downlighting from the moon lighting. We have, the uplighting of the trees to create the depth, especially behind the cabana that you see here. And then we have the localized path lighting in the flowers. It's a classic, I used to stay away from this like the plague, but now I incorporate that in my designs. Of course, we have the line coming across the cabana. I didn't feel we needed to highlight this cabana. There's nothing really interesting about it, but I did have the tree next to it, framing it, and the moonlighting coming down from the trees along the pathway leading through the forest that you see right now, like the pea gravel forest. Again, always creating an element of interest to frame wherever you're. Moonlighting is great, but you have to be able to incorporate some. So I wanted to show you a little bit of architectural lighting here. Here is a project that I did, I don't know, 15 years ago now already. There's 367 projectors, on the window ledges of this hotel that was an ancestral building. It was a bank building before they turned it into a hotel. We were involved in all the lighting for the outside and for the Grand Salle, which means the main level, all the bar and lobby and all that. We did a lot of really cool, innovative. So you can bring the outside lighting onto the building and then into the buildings in some occasions, like Leon presented to us. In this case, I didn't take photos of it, but we have some really cool stuff that is hidden inside these magnificent chandeliers, little projectors pointing down and picking up the inlays on marble floors and lights behind the curtains and all that stuff. A little bit of architectural lighting here. Again, the walkway coming across. So why light, Leon? The question Leon brought up was why light? We have to light so people can get from one space to the other. That's our main job. Of course, we like to do it in a way where we create beauty. And there's one thing I just wanted to say about architectural lighting. I do a lot of this lighting around the pool, like I showed you earlier, like around the perimeter of a pool, recessed in the stone. And a few days ago, my clients, like in this case, why light? Okay, the light here gives you an element of it's a nice, cool look, and it also illuminates some of the canopies. But in some areas, I'm proposing lighting in the walkways, lighting on the pool decks, and there's not lighting anything up. So why light today for me has changed from what it used to be 36 years ago. Anyhow, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for the opportunity and the time you spent listening to me.
Sandy, thank you so very much. When I got in landscape lighting industry, I was doing landscape lighting. When I met Sandy, I learned about landscape and architectural lighting. You three gentlemen are top notch. I cannot thank you enough for spending the time that you did with us, and hopefully everybody got as much out of this as I did. There are a couple of questions that came up, Sandy. Hopefully our Zoom will not cut out. The question came up, please share what is your pool light?
My pool light, it's from J&J Electronics. I used to use a product from Savvy Pool Lights, and then these companies, they get bought, but the pool light I'm using now, the full-size pool light, is from J&J Electronics. It's a company in California. I think they were bought out from a bigger subsidiary, but if you go online for J&J Pool Electronics, you'll find the pool light. Okay,
thank you. Another question that just came up from Les in the question and answers was for James. If you can unmute yourself as well, James, is can you expand on the technique for drilling into a rock? And Sandy will attest and be able to answer that as well. Maybe we can have two separate answers, because sure. God knows I've been on a job site where Sandy has done 240 of them on one job. So James, you go first, please, if you may.
Well, there's lots of examples online and from others about coring into rock. I did a ton of that in Muskoka, very challenging. But one of the techniques I love doing is path lighting and mounting directly to either stone risers or, in this case, natural rock. And basically, I'm using surface mounts that are typically designed for decks or wood. A lot of lead lags with stainless steel screws down through the surface mount, and then 3/8 inch by 24 inch long carbide stone bits, and sort of the technique that some guys use on wooden posts to hide post light wires, where they go in angle by angle and they meet up a little bit, and then you fish the wire, and then you find another angle, and you drill horizontally through a boulder coming out the other side, fish it, and where the bit comes out a little bit, you can go with some mortar and some of the filings that you cored out of that and push the filings into the wet mortar, and you can't see that anymore. It takes a couple hours to do on a path light, but the net, you know, it makes it remarkable, and the owners notice and other people notice, and they're always like, how did he do that? How did he mount that fixture there? Where the heck is a wire? So it's worth it in the long run to do these things. I can't stand it when I go to a job and I see some guy's wire lying all over the landscape. But and then coring, that's a whole other thing. There's lots of resources online on how to do that properly.
And thank you, James and Sandy.
Yeah, well, you know, the coring is the key element to successfully, you know, creating architectural lighting. But you also have to become a bit of a mason. I mean, James hit it right there, where you keep the actual, you know, whatever is left over for the powder that's coming off the rocks, and you do a little bit of masking. But we find ourselves doing a lot of grinding as well, not just coring. We use the grinder. We're up to a 7-inch grinder, and we find ourselves also, you know, removing some stone elements to be able to use, you know, an area where you could fish through. So basically we're fishing a lot, we're coring, and then we have to dig on the outside of the hard surface and fish across into it. And sometimes you have to create some soft surfaces within a large hard surface by removing a stone and then digging and using that to fish with and reinstalling the stone afterwards. So you're becoming a bit of a mason when you're doing this kind of work. And again, be careful, guys. If you're designing this in your lighting projects, you need to be able to factor the cost of the time that's involved here. And for the most part, you might have to be the guy on site, you know, supervising or even very active in doing this, unless you have a mason on site, because not all of your guys are going to be, you make a mistake and it's unforgiving. So you have to really be careful with this, and you have to charge for that kind of service, for that kind of work, specialty work.
Leon, how about you? I know you have done this as well. What are what's your input on this, please?
Yeah, we do a lot of core drilling as well, like for uplighting, you know, on a building, on the front of a house or whatever. We need to get into the flagstone area or the paving stone area. We do the same things again. If it's a job that we're actually doing the construction on, of course, then we can time that, right? It's that's not a big issue. But if you're doing it, working along, and we have done that too, working along in conjunction with someone else, then yeah, it's really important to be involved in the timing of that project. If you're coming in later, which happens a lot as well, people think about lighting afterwards, then yeah, there's a lot of tricks. We have some crazy long drill bits for wood, for masonry, extensions, you know, got the whole gamut of different drills, SDS, SDS Max, the Hiltis, like Sandy said, grinders, stone saw, everything it takes to get it done. We've seen that when we were in San Antonio a few years back too, right? All the existing flagstone, and they had to get wires all over the place. There's ways to do it. You just got to think about it ahead of time. Like Sandy said, charge for it, and just know how to. You have to be a bit of a craftsman, that's for sure. Well-rounded in order to be really good at lighting.
Leon, you also core drill into bollards.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't like to use a lot of bollards, but there's certain applications where it just works great, and it talks the homeowner out of using running post lights down the driveway, which we try to avoid at all costs. So we've used I guess the Astrid, is that the second largest one there? Use those in custom made stone bollards where we, last winter, the guys spent a couple weeks making stone bollards for a huge project, core drilling them out and recessing the fixtures in it. So.
Okay. Leon, if those who did not speak up want to get a hold of you and ask you a question, what email address, how can they reach you at, sir?
Yeah, it's Leon, Leon, @shademaster.net.
Thank you. And Sandy, for you, please.
It's Sandy. Actually, it's just send all the inquiries, send them to John Higo, please. It's Sandy at nightlighting.com.
Thanks,
That's
Sandy.
Y, like the beach, James, at nightlighting, KNIGHT, lighting.com.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Look, you guys are amazing. I thank you very much. John and I and Anthony and others at Illumicare, we are in this business not necessarily because that's the only thing we can do to put a roof over our head. We are in this business because we are passionate about it and we like it. And we only become better when people such as James, Sandy, Leon, and others tell us what is better and direct us to the right path, so we can make unique product that you can thrive on. So on behalf of everybody from Illumicare, we thank all three of you for being on this, and thank you for all those who attended today. I know your time is very valuable, and again, I hope you got as much out of this as we did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Ciao, ciao.